Okay, we're back. Anyway, that's a bracket. The right hand bottom corner on the MK3 is a bracket that's going to go on the wall and hold up the Black & Decker edger, because that thing does not want to stand on its own. So that supposedly is like a 12-hour print. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to pop up there and peek my head in, see how that first layer is going down. Which nothing's warping. There are some stringy things, but looks like everything got a good first layer on the bottom. We got 1, 2, 3 more pieces to do. They're looking all right. They're looking okay. I don't know if that's a better view or not. Better once it's out here a little bit. Okay. Well, we're all green for right now. Oh, I see a temperature glitch. Just a minor one. Oh, I don't know if I'll do streams like that 24/7. Um, I am planning on doing the stream of the upgrade of the MK2, just because it would be fun. So I'm frustrated with the Zone Star right now, mainly because I think that I'm trying two filaments that have two different melting properties. So I'm hoping that I'll get to go to Protopasta and make some. First, I'm supposed to go to Protopasta and make some gold, help them develop some gold. But I also want to help them develop a set of cyan, magenta, and a process yellow, so that we have 3 colors that are very, very similar in melting properties to go into that mixing extruder. Because what I'm finding is that unless you buy um, filaments, yeah, if you don't have filaments, or if you get filaments from different manufacturers, each one has a slightly different viscosity as it's melted in there, and that Cyclops hot end seems to be very finicky on what it's going to let go through, because they don't want you to use more than 2 millimeters of retraction. Otherwise, you're pulling the hot blob too far up into the throat. I mean, they made those passages in there as tiny as they possibly could to try and eliminate most of these problems. So you didn't have a big pool of molten filament in there. Now, on a Bowden setup, obviously you use more than 2 millimeters because of the Bowden tubes, but you don't want more than 2 millimeters at the throat for retraction. So trying to eliminate stringing and keep it from clogging has been the big problem with that. In fact, I was printing some red and gold benchies. Let me go dig them out of the trash. So all four of these guys, so there was the two red ones were facing that way. Yep. And the two gold ones were facing this way. And they're pretty pathetic. Come on, you going to focus any better than that? Maybe. Anyway, they were stringy. When it got up to this part right here, you can see that it's just under extruding like crazy. You know, it didn't even make this, it's just blowing chunks. The weird thing is that the gold one actually looks halfway decent, but the red, every time it went and tried to purge the gold out and start printing with the red just choked. So by the end, the red was not printing at all, and the gold was printing okay. But yeah, they're just, I even upped the temperature on this test for both of these from my normal 205 to 210 or 215 because the red seems like it needs that hotter temperature even just printing by itself. So I think there's just too much incompatibility with these. So I'd like to try it again with a set of filaments that have very similar properties. Anyway, that's my fail. This whole weekend's been a pretty good fail. Now I'm seeing temperature fluctuations there. And hopefully that stays in check. It's only got a, yeah, there's only one heater. It's just two filaments into one hot end. So yeah, it's it was looking really good, and now it's getting all funky again, fluctuating all over the place. That's what I get. Usually it gets about 4 layers in, and then it gets so bad that I get a thermal runaway. Yeah, they can. Although, you know, there's a range of what'll work. Uh, it's not so much that they have different temperatures. It's when the plastic's in its molten state, if they're two different viscosities. So like if one, when it's molten, it's really runny, and the other one's pretty stiff, then the one, let's say you're like printing the benchies, you're switching from one color to the other color. So you can't retract the filament out of the way. You just have to stop printing with, let's say, the gold and print with the red. And the red will push down and push through and, you know, kind of clean out the gold. But then when you go to restart the gold, now you've got to push that wall of red that formed out of the way and get the gold going again. And if the gold is stiffer when it's molten, or it cooks and hardens, or whatever it is that it's going on, I don't know exactly what's going on in there, but it's making it hard to print with. Although I've seen Facebook group, you know, the E3D Online, people are getting excellent results with the Cyclops hot end. So I don't exactly know what I'm doing wrong. Ben from Krieg 3D Printing was on the stream, and I was trying his settings, but he is not using the Cyclops. He is using the original Zone Star hot end and nozzle, which, you know, maybe I need to switch it back to their stock setup, or figure out how to get that thing to keep from leaking and put it back on there, and maybe I'll be able to get some prints. What originally made me change it was it leaked so bad and I was getting under extrusion. Well, it turns out the under extrusion was the fact that the steps for the extruders are not calibrated from the factory. They're calibrated to under extrude. And the fact that you go into their settings menu, which allows you to tune the extruder steps, but it only allows you to tune it for one extruder, which I didn't realize at the time. So yeah, that was that was loads of fun to figure out. So I put on the E3D hot end, thinking that would solve all my problems, and basically end up causing more problems. Oh, it's going to have a dual extruder but two separate nozzles? Flash forge? See, that's the other thing I could do, is I could order a Chimera, an E3D Chimera. It'll still hit, the Chimera will fit that same cold end and uses the same throat spacing. So I could fit the Chimera parts onto that Zone Star. The only thing I have to look up is whether that, if their board will support a second heater, because I don't know if it